Hi, my name is Jay Oza. I coach people win with their speeches, and perhaps I can help you with your speech. What I did at the end is what I want to talk about, the ask. One of the things that speakers don't do or are not comfortable doing or just simply forget doing is ask. When you are speaking, you have to ask. Before you even work on the speech, you got to know what your ask is. Do you want people to spread the message? Do you want them to go to your website? Do you want them to take some kind of action? Or you're trying to get them to think? You got to ask. And obviously, asking alone isn't enough. When you're speaking, you're kind of asking with a purpose, and the audience is more likely to do what you're asking. So keep that in mind when you're giving speech. Now, asking is a very important thing that's never taught in school, but it, I think, is one of the most important skill for anyone to be successful. I'll give you two examples. One is something that happened to me recently. I went to a deli shop to get sandwiches, and as I was walking out, there was a guy standing, and he saw that I had a sandwich in my, I had a bag full of sandwiches, and I had some change in my hand, and he said, "Sir, can I have some change so I can get food?" Now, normally, I don't run into panhandlers, and whenever I do, I tend to ignore them. But like I said, where I live, I don't see them. This one kind of caught my attention for a number of things. First, he engaged with me. Then he essentially tied the problem that he had, that he needed some change so that he can buy food. Now, that affected me because, like, here's this guy standing outside a deli shop and he's hungry, evidently. It, it kind of threw me for a loop a little bit. So I said, I said, "I'll be happy to give you the change. But if you promise me that you're not going to use it to buy drugs or cigarettes or something like that." He said, "No, no, no, I promise, I promise." I said, "Look, I'll give you the money, but I'll feel really bad if you didn't use it for food." And I gave it to him, okay? As I got in my car and as I was leaving the deli shop, it occurred to me that this guy did something that was he asked. And because he asked, I gave it to him. And there was some purpose behind it too, because he evidently was hungry. But then it occurred to me, if this guy is able to ask for little, if he just raised his asking, what he's asking, he could be a very successful salesman. So the mindset is what prevents us from being successful. And the same thing applies in a speech. And I'll give you another example. And this one comes from Donald Trump's book. Sorry if you're not a Donald Trump fan. And this had to do with when Jimmy Carter came to, a president of the United States, came to see him after he had lost the election to Ronald Reagan. And I'll quote what he writes in his book. It's on page 60, by the way, if you have the book. And he writes about Jimmy Carter. I'll quote, "After he lost the election to Ronald Reagan, Carter came to see me in my office. He told me he was seeking contributions to the Jimmy Carter Library. I asked how much he had in mind, and he said, quote, 'Donald, I would be very appreciative if you contributed $5 million, unquote. I was dumbfounded. I didn't even answer him. But that experience also taught me something. Until then, I'd never understood how Jimmy Carter became president. The answer is that as poorly qualified as he was for the job, Jimmy Carter had the nerve, the guts, the balls to ask for something extraordinary. That ability, above all, helped him get elected president." And that's from Donald Trump's book, The Art of the Deal. But it clearly shows that here's a guy who's a master asker, was quite impressed with Jimmy Carter's ability to ask. And when you think about it, what do politicians are really good at? Asking. That's how they get elected. They keep asking. So when you are speaking, why not think like them? Ask. Because you are on the stage. I'm here right now talking to you. And I'm going to ask you if you need any help with your speech, give me a call. Let me know. I can help you. You have to ask. Get in the habit of asking. Don't make the other person think. So ask, ask, ask. And obviously, ask with purpose. And you will be successful.